My sister-in-law pranked me about a past trauma, which led to her being arrested and her family ignoring him. Now he's playing the victim. Hi, Reddit. I'm a 27-year-old woman. I've been married to my husband, Aaron, also 27, for about 3 years, and we've known each other for 6. Things were going pretty great between us until his sister, Sophie, did something that honestly shattered my trust in her and changed the entire dynamic of the family. Let me start from the beginning. Sophie and I have always had a complicated relationship. She's Aaron's only sibling, and she's been spoiled since childhood. Her parents, my in-laws, absolutely adore her. They treat her like the golden child. She got everything she ever wanted growing up. The car at 16, the designer clothes, the dream wedding. Aaron once joked that she could throw a tantrum at 25 and their mom would still rush to comfort her with ice cream. I tolerated her because I love my husband, and because, until recently, she'd never been directly cruel to me. Passive-aggressive, sure. Entitled, definitely, but never openly vicious. That changed 3 weeks ago. Sophie called me one night, out of the blue, and said she wanted to organize a girls-only family vacation. Just her, our mother-in-law, her cousin Nadia, and me. Now, Nadia and I are close, like best friend close. We went to the same high school, same year, same classes. She's practically a sister to me, and she's always been my safe space in Aaron's family. So even though the idea of spending a week with Sophie didn't thrill me, Nadia really wanted to go and convinced me to join. Sophie handled all the planning, which, to be fair, made sense because she has money to burn. Her husband is a neurosurgeon and she runs an event planning company, though everyone knows it's basically managed by her employees. She loves looking busy and successful, but doesn't really do much. Aaron warned me before the trip, half jokingly, "Just be patient, Sophie's not used to being told no." I should have known that was a red flag. The day we were supposed to leave, I got to the airport early. I like being punctual, and the airport's almost an hour from my house, so I figured better early than stressed. While waiting, I noticed my phone's vibration motor had stopped working that morning, meaning I wouldn't feel it buzz when I got notifications. Annoying, but I didn't think much of it. Then, while scrolling through my phone to kill time, I got a message from Sophie. It was a screenshot of a text conversation she'd apparently had with someone. The message she sent me had a picture attached. When I opened it, my blood went cold. It was a photo taken right outside my house. You could clearly see my front steps, my door, even the potted plant I keep by the entrance. And in the foreground, someone's hand was holding a pair of scissors. Seconds later, another message came through. "Tell your dear brother's wife that I'm back." I froze. My chest tightened, and I felt dizzy. Then Sophie texted me, "I just got this from an unknown number. I'm scared. Do you think it's someone you know?" That's when I completely lost it. You see, years ago, during college, I had a stalker. He was a senior in the computer engineering department. We'd barely spoken, but somehow he became obsessed with me. It started small, random likes on old photos, a few weird messages from unknown accounts. Then it escalated. He began sending me pictures of myself, taken from behind, from across campus, sometimes even from outside my dorm. He'd use fake social media accounts, always under different names. Once, he sent me a picture of my parents' house, holding scissors, and wrote, "I know where you sleep." I was terrified. I couldn't eat, couldn't focus. I stopped going to parties, stopped meeting friends, and eventually stopped leaving my dorm altogether. I didn't tell anyone because he threatened me, saying if I told the police, he'd make me regret it. I lived like that for weeks until my roommate noticed something was wrong. She pushed me to go to the authorities. When the police caught him, they found evidence that he'd stalked at least 2 other girls. He was expelled and sent back to his home country. That was years ago, but the fear, it never really went away. So when I saw that picture from Sophie, scissors, my house, that same threat, I was right back there. My body froze. I couldn't breathe. I called 911 immediately. Then I called Aaron 3 times before he finally answered, groggy and confused. I was screaming, telling him to lock himself in our bedroom, grab something heavy, and wait for the police. He didn't ask questions. He just did what I said. It took 45 minutes for my taxi to reach home. The entire time, I was on the phone with Aaron and shaking uncontrollably. Police were already there when I arrived. They'd searched the area and found no one. By the time I walked inside, I was crying so hard I could barely talk. When the officers told me they had traced the phone number that sent the text, I expected it to belong to some random creep or maybe a prankster. Instead, they said the name on the prepaid phone plan was Tio Wilson. Fake, obviously, but they'd followed the number's digital trail. The phone had been purchased with a credit card belonging to Sophie. I thought I'd misheard. Then I saw her, being escorted into the station in tears, saying, "It was just a joke. I didn't mean to scare her that much." She thought it would be funny to prank me about my stalker. I didn't even have words. I confronted her there. I yelled. I cried. I told her how she had triggered one of the darkest periods of my life. For what? A laugh? Attention? She just kept sobbing and saying, "I didn't think you'd call the police." Of course I did. She made it look like someone was stalking me again. Even Aaron, usually calm and diplomatic, was furious. He refused to speak to her afterward. They released her with a warning since, technically, no crime had been committed, but everyone was humiliated. Nadia canceled the Spain trip, and my in-laws were livid. But soon, their anger turned on me. A few days later, I started getting messages from my mother-in-law. She said things like, "You know Sophie was just trying to joke around. You didn't have to involve the police. Now everyone's gossiping. You're tearing the family apart over a misunderstanding." I couldn't believe it. Sophie sent me her own messages too, paragraphs of guilt-tripping nonsense, claiming I'd ruined her reputation and that she didn't deserve to be treated like a criminal. I ignored her for days, but she kept pushing and pushing until finally I snapped. I texted her, "You're cruel. You used my trauma for your entertainment. You're manipulative, spoiled, and honestly as ugly on the inside as you are on the outside." I know, that last line was wrong. I don't body shame people. I've been bullied for being skinny my whole life, but I wanted to hurt her the way she hurt me. Update 1. After I calmed down, I felt awful about that last insult. Not for the rest of the message. I still believe she deserved to be called out, but for targeting her appearance. So I texted her again, "I'm sorry for the comment about your looks. That was wrong of me. I stand by everything else though." She didn't reply for hours. Then finally, late that night, she sent back, "It's fine. I didn't expect anything better from you. At least now I know we were never friends. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for the prank, but you overreacted." It wasn't an apology. It was a slap wrapped in politeness. Aaron told me to block her. Nadia said she was proud of me for apologizing because it showed I was the bigger person. My mother-in-law, though, she said I owed Sophie a real apology. At that point, I decided I was done trying. Update 2. Weeks passed. Sophie went quiet. She deleted social media, stopped attending family events, and basically ghosted everyone. Her parents blamed me for her isolation. Then, out of nowhere, she messaged again, half apology, half insult. She wrote, "I shouldn't have used your trauma like that, but you made a big deal out of nothing. I didn't know you were so fragile." That was it. That was her version of closure. I didn't even reply. Update 3. About a month later, Nadia announced she was pregnant. She threw a big family party. Everyone was invited except Sofi. During the party, Nadia showed me a text Sofi had sent her that morning. "Congratulations! I wish I could have been there, but I had prior commitments. I'm learning to keep my distance from negative energies." She called us the negative energies. We laughed, honestly. It was so typical of her, passive-aggressive and desperate for attention. Since then, we haven't heard from her again. No social media posts, no calls, nothing. Update 4. I don't think I'll ever fully forgive her. You can't unring a bell. Once someone decides your trauma is entertainment, you never look at them the same way again. I'm thankful Aaron stood by me through all this. I'm grateful for Nadia, who cut her off completely. And as for my in-laws, I'm keeping my distance. Sofi tried to play the victim, but the truth is simple. She traumatized me for fun, and when it backfired, she couldn't handle the consequences. So now she's the one isolated, crying about being misunderstood. And me, I finally have peace.